Coming up, they're doctors who fly, and they want third-class medical reform. Find out what you can do to speed up the driver's license medical. A personal invitation from John and Martha King.
And I'm Paul here up in Chino, California, where we'll take you to a museum that you can play Top Gun inside the cockpit of an F-14. AOPA Live this week starts in just a moment.
From your first skyward glance, the dream of flight compelled you. And from your first glimpse of a Cirrus, you realized that dream had a name. Cirrus Aircraft. Go where you've never been before.
Eight out of 10 doctors recommend doing away with a third-class medical certificate. Hello, everyone, and welcome to AOPA Live this week. I'm Tom Haynes. An influential group of doctors, the Flying Physicians Association, has weighed in on the third-class medical debate. And these docs, many of them aviation medical examiners themselves, say the medical requirement for private pilots adds a burden without much benefit. The Flying Physicians sent a letter to the Secretary of Transportation saying the third-class medical system is not necessary, does not add to safety, and can be eliminated for private flying.
80% of our members surveyed favored looking into this and looking at doing away with the current medical certification process, the third-class medical, for some private pilots. We still would favor some kind of self-assessment and educational process for private pilots so that they're aware of the kind of things that they should do to be safe medically when they're flying. We have mnemonics that we promote like I am safe. We think that there could be online courses basically for private pilots warning them about medications that they might take, over-the-counter drugs or natural products or weight loss aids or things like that. And to try to promote to them things that they might do that could keep them flying safely. And we also want to promote a good relationship between them and their physicians that they see in an ongoing way to discuss honestly some of these issues without fear of bringing up some subject thinking that it would result in them not being certified.
Right. You can see more of my interview with Dr. Salone on AOPAlive.org. And it is critically important to maintain this groundswell of support for medical certificate reform. That's why AOPA is asking its members to write their members of Congress and urge them to co-sponsor the General Aviation Pilot Protection Act. That bill would expand the successful sport pilot standard by not requiring some pilots to obtain a third-class medical certificate. And members of Congress say your letters are very important.
You are listened to. We are listened to. You have got to call in, you've got to email and write in, and you're right at this time to focus on those members of Congress, both in the House and the Senate, because Senator Bozeman and others in the Senate have introduced a companion bill to the General Aviation Pilot Protection Act. It's mirror language to mine and Sam's language, and they have 17 senators out of 100. So their percentage is way down. So focus on the Senate. Focus on your House of Representative member if he or she isn't on the bill yet. And I believe if you go to your Action Center, I think you have one of the most robust website pages for determining if a particular member is on or off a bill. If your member of Congress is on a bill, is on this bill already, go ahead and send them a thank you email and say, hey, we're still very interested in this. Stay on it. If it goes into the next Congress, get back on it. But specifically at this time, focus on those members of Congress and your United States senators who aren't on the bill.
AOPA members have sent more than 21,000 letters to Congress so far, but we need many more. And Congressman Rokita told us he believes that his legislation encouraged the FAA to move forward with the proposed new rules to change medical certificate requirements, and he's positive that good changes will happen.
I am confident, and if these rules aren't exactly what we want or not nearly what we want, we have the ability to comment and change them, and then we're going to keep this legislation up in case it's not what we want, or in case they decide not to do anything, which I hope is not the case. I don't believe it to be the case. So Sam and I and others here, we're going to keep the pressure up legislatively in an effort to keep the rules procedure moving. And if that rules procedure goes south, well, then we'll fix this legislatively.
You can see all of our interview with Congressman Rokita on AOPAlive.org. Well, here's some great news. We saw an improvement in general aviation safety last year. That according to the NTSB. The number of accidents, the number of fatal accidents, and the number of fatalities all declined from the 2012 numbers.
Although we view it as a positive indicator over the past 12 months in 2013, we hope that it encourages pilots to take the next step, to take that journey towards safety, to follow up with some training, some education, some recurrency, some proficiency training, because really to improve and continue to improve upon the safety numbers, it's really an all-hands evolution that every general aviation pilot has got to take an active stake in and do their part to help continue these positive trends.
And one way to become a safer pilot, of course, is to take advantage of all the online safety courses and other resources under the Air Safety Institute tab on our websites. Well, heads up, if you fly in the Northeast United States, there is a rather large and very complicated TFR in the New York City area starting on Tuesday. The restrictions are for the United Nations General Assembly. You've heard it once, you've heard it 1,000 times from us. Really, though, check NOTAMs before you fly. We've got some other things popping up on the advocacy front. And to tell us about that once again, we turn to our advocacy expert, Melissa Rudinger. So, Melissa, tell us about this effort to save this Missouri airport.
Well, that's right, Tom. It's an issue that we've been working on for at least 6 years. And what it is the mayor of St. Clair, Missouri wants to close the city's airport. Only problem? Well, actually there are two. First, it's a land grant airport, which means the city has to keep the airport open forever or give the land back to the feds. They've also taken federal money for the airport, and that obligates them to keep it open. It also obligates them to maintain the airport, but they haven't. Probably hoping to drive everybody away. And that's brought the feds down on them, telling the city they are in non-compliance for not maintaining their airport. So St. Clair went to Congress to try and get their airport closed. And that's why AOPA and other associations have just sent this letter to the Senate Commerce Committee saying that the legislation to close the airport is a bad idea and that they should allow the FAA to complete its review of the airport closure request.
So the FAA in this case is kind of wearing the white hat on that since they're fighting the closure, but there's another issue for which their hat isn't quite so bright.
That's right. We actually want the FAA to loosen its standards a little bit. Let's just, or at least provide some flexibility, and that's on its hangar use policy. Okay. AOPA has just filed its formal comments on the FAA's proposed update to its policy on non-aeronautical use of hangars. We want the FAA to classify every hangar that houses an airworthy aircraft or an aircraft that is actively under construction, repair, or renovation as being in aeronautical use. And if it's a privately owned hangar, the owner should be able to do what they want to do within reason, as long as the primary purpose of the hangar is to house an airworthy aircraft.
Okay, an important issue for all of us who have hangars, I might say. Well, who says that air racing is an old man's sport? Steve Hinton Jr. is proof that success can come at any age. The 27-year-old won his 6th consecutive Breitling Unlimited Gold Championship at the Reno Air Races last week. This was the 2nd year he's flown a P-51 named Voodoo, and for all his success, Steve-O, as he's called, remains humble and focused.
You have to be so intensely focused that it's amazing. After time I've done it a little bit, it starts to slow down now and you can appreciate the scenery a little bit more, but it's a lot of fun.
Steve and his father, Steve, are both air race legends. We profiled them in the November 2013 edition of AOPA Pilot Magazine. They have a fascinating story, so be sure to check it out. Coming up after the break, learn how to go mountain flying.
And I, Paul here, will take you inside a museum where you can play Top Gun at the AOPA Chino Fly-In. You're watching AOPA Live this week.
As far as the Verb camera goes, it's the solution. We've used every other action camera and we've thrown them all away or given them away because now we have 5 Verbs and they're all over our airplanes and we wouldn't use anything else.
folks, you ought to join us at AOPA at Chino. Chino is a spectacularly special place, and this is going to be a special event. The two of them are going to make it a wonderful weekend for general aviation.
It's a family day. Bring your kids, come out, touch airplanes, listen to seminars, have fun.
You're going to love general aviation at Chino.
With a pitch like that, who could say no? As John and Martha just said, the AOPA Chino Regional Fly-In is going to be a lot of fun. It's all happening this weekend. We'll kick things off with a pancake breakfast, of course, followed by a day of fun. The weather is set to be great. There's a free lunch for AOPA members and plenty to do while you're there, including a walk through some of history's most revered airplanes. AOPA Live's Paul Harrop found a collection in Chino that really stands out. He got a look inside Yanks Air Museum.
Well, I just want to welcome you to the museum. This is the Yanks Air Museum. We're an all-American aviation museum.
Yanks Air Museum is not just another museum. It's one of the most well-curated collections in the world. The majority of the airplanes are privately owned. Most are airworthy. All are special, and many are quite rare.
They're the last surviving example, the last flying example.
It all started back in the 1970s with the vision of Charles Nichols.
So I started off and found the Staggerwing Beach. That was my first airplane. Then I got a Stearman, a YPT-9. That was the second one. And then the third one, which my final one, was this P-40 right here.
Since then, the collection has grown. Airmail and Golden Era machines are well represented. The aim is to be an all-American museum, but the two exceptions are exceptional. This German V-1 buzz bomb and this complete Japanese Oka rocket-propelled bomb. You'll notice a pilot seat, but not any landing gear.
And Yanks Air Museum is unique that they have two of the privately owned F-14 Tomcats in the world, including this one where you can climb in and live out your Top Gun fantasies.
There's plenty of military jets from the 50s on. One of the few airplanes on loan is this modern F-18 in Blue Angels livery. Out back, there's so much more waiting to be refurbished. They have a boneyard of diamonds in the rough, in stasis, waiting to be given a second wind.
And if you go in a time when the hangar is closed, there's, I don't like to say ghosts, but there's a feeling in there. You can feel the history. It's like they're living and breathing still.
And waiting for you to come visit them in Chino. Paul Harrop, AOPA Live.
Thanks, Paul. There are events at Yanks Air Museum year-round. Check out the schedule at yanksair.com. Well, one of the things that people tell us they love the most about the fly-ins are the seminars. And in Chino, there's some really good ones given by West Coast-based experts. You just saw John and Martha King invite you to the event, and they're hosting a seminar on avoiding unwanted adventure. They frequently practice aeronautical decision-making and risk management while having a lot of fun, too. And they'll show you how. You want to get away to the mountains? Pilot Getaways magazine editor-in-chief John Kounis will teach you how. You can even practice those skills not too far away by flying into Big Bear, like we did with John and his brother George last year.
Well, kind of thing, coming into Big Bear, we come over to the Snow Valley ski area about 10 miles west of the airport. Then the next thing we see is Big Bear Dam and then the large Big Bear Lake. And that's pretty much on final to runway 8. On our right, we see several ski areas, the Gold Mine ski area, the Snow Summit ski area. On our left is just a high ridge that goes up to about, 8,000 feet or so. So we're coming in between two 8,000-foot ridges, just dropping into this little valley, which is where Big Bear is, right onto runway 8.
It's all happening this Saturday, September 20th. The Chino Airport is right in the heart of Southern California's Inland Empire, just a quick stretch from anywhere in the region. Find out more at aopa.org/fly-in. Hope to see you there. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. Be sure to join us next time. If you like our program, do us a favor. Tell your friends all about AOPA Live this week. Thanks for making us a part of your routine. I'm Tom Hayes.